Greetings, friends in the Force and acolytes of the galaxy, and welcome back to our channel. In their Order's history, many Jedi have decided to leave for one way or another, or for one reason or another, and not all of them were seduced by the dark side. Some Jedi became disillusioned by the ways of the Order, and others decided to simply retire. Whatever their reasons may be, leaving the Jedi Order was always an option open to any Jedi who no longer wished to be a part of the temple. The discharging process was an entire ceremony that a great many Jedi attended. Whenever the leaver in question is ready, they will come before the High Council, where they will surrender their lightsaber as well as their robes. Prior to this, they will be given some common clothes and a good sum of credits, enough to begin building a new life in the grand galaxy. It is a solemn but very beautiful ceremony, and usually afterwards, if they were a master, the Jedi leaver will then have a bust of themselves forged and then placed in the temple archives. This brings us to the subject of our video today, where we will be explaining the busts in the Jedi archives known as the Lost 20. The Lost 20, also known simply as the Lost, were busts of all of the Jedi Masters that have decided for one reason or another to ultimately leave the Order, but those who have not done so in the service of the dark side. They are honored in the Jedi archives by these statues. The statues themselves serve as a remembrance for the Order, but also as somewhat of a tale of caution to all of the Jedi within the temple. At one point, Yoda was walking a group of younglings through the archives, showing them each of the statues. He stopped on the one displaying Master Terminus, which Yoda looked upon sadly, and recalled her leaving as being a very sad time for the Jedi. The old Grandmaster then instructed the young initiates to learn from the Order's failure to keep the disillusioned Jedi where they belong. One of the earliest members of the Lost 20 was the Umbaran Jedi Master Thanius, who eventually became Darth Ruin, the first Dark Lord of the Sith in the new Sith Empire. The 20th, and thought to have been the final member of the Lost 20, was Master Dooku. Although we did mention previously that the Masters of the Lost 20 were not put there because they fell to the dark side, it is important to mention that both Thanius and Dooku were commemorated as one of the members of the Lost 20 before they became Sith Lords. Their busts are made whenever the Masters leave peacefully. It took a good bit of time before the two were re-emerging as Sith. What I find interesting is that the Brosnium statues serve as a warning to all Jedi, but not for the reasons you may think. The statues were to remember the greatest failures, not of these Jedi in question, but of the Order itself. The Jedi did not fault these individuals for leaving, regarding the statues as a reminder that the Jedi Order was not perfect, and that sometimes they might fail to provide what a Jedi might seek out in life. Each of the bust pedestals listed the great deeds of the Master it commemorated, but not for the reason he or she ultimately decided to leave the Jedi Order. I actually really enjoy this specific fact about the concept of the Lost. The Jedi Order is known for its arrogance during the Clone Wars, and they fail because they refuse to believe in the fallibility of their Order. These statues serve as that reminder though, and serves as a reminder to me at least, that there was a time when the Jedi were not so dogmatic and as arrogant. They recognized their failure through each of the statues and treated every master that left as a massive tragedy and a failure on behalf of the system itself and not on the individual. A far cry from the Order that we see in the Clone Wars era. I also like this idea because it gives Jedi a choice of leaving the Order without being ostracized by the Order itself. Many Jedi don't get a say in their induction into the Order since they were mostly taken as infants. One of the more interesting tidbits that Darth Vader actually considers is that he believes he is a member of the Lost 20. We learn this as he reveals his identity to the dying Jedi Master Roan Shrine, and then embraces the idea of being a part of the Lost. We all know that Darth Vader considered himself as a Jedi Master, even though the Order did not notice him as one, and failed to recognize him as a Master, although Vader believed because he once held a seat on a council, that he was now distinguished as the last member of the Lost 20. Since only Masters could be commemorated as a member of the Lost, Vader defiantly declared himself the final and biggest failure of the Jedi Order as a whole, and their entire existence in the galaxy. Despite the fact that some of them, such as Thanius and Dooku, did later turn to the dark side, their busts were never taken down, perhaps to serve as even more of a reminder that the greatest atrocities to the galaxy can arise from their very own ranks and the very protectors. As one final little fact, in the Episode 2 DVD commentary, we learned that among the busts in the frame of the movie, there are busts of George Lucas, Pablo Hellman, Rob Coleman, and John Knoll, all commemorated in the Jedi archives. To me, the Jedi busts represent what the Jedi Order should have been, or perhaps how they perceived themselves before the outbreak of the Clone War. The fact that the statues of the Lost 20 were meant to commemorate the Jedi Order's own failings, and not the failings of the Jedi Masters. Again, it is important to note that all of the members of the Lost 20 were in fact Jedi Masters, and they represented keeping in mind that the Jedi themselves are not perfect, and that even the greatest of them can become disillusioned with the Jedi Order, but to ultimately learn from these Jedi Masters, not deem them mistakes, but to view the failings as failings of the Order, not of the Jedi commemorated. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Darth Vader considering himself the 21st member of the Lost? And what are your thoughts on the Lost 20 and their history, including that it now encompasses 3 Sith Lords if you count Vader? Let us know down below if you knew these details about the Lost 20 before this video. And do you believe that the Jedi lost sight of what they represented overall? What are your thoughts on their decision to keep the busts of Jedi Master Thanius as well as Dooku intact? And as always, thank you so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.